Vivienne, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. I have to ask, first of all, where does the name Fifi Bijou come from?
Well, Fifi is really my nickname. My family call me Fifi, and bijou is French for jewellery.
In terms of your background, how did you get involved in designing jewellery, engagement rings, wedding rings?
Well, I trained at Glasgow School of Art in silversmithing and jewellery, and after my degree there I worked for 5 years as head of design for a jewellery company. And during that time I'd started becoming interested in the process and the supply chain and the way that that worked, and being interested in the ethical aspect of that. And I was actually approached by a Scottish politician who was a keen human rights activist and environmental activist, and he approached me and asked me, could it be done, could I design for him a fair trade ethical engagement ring for his girlfriend. So that was really the beginning of it. I started at that point and had to then source the platinum and the diamonds that he wanted and work through it from there. So that was the start of my business concept as an ethical jewellery designer.
So Vivienne, we're in the workshop, very excited about the gold. What happens here?
Well, basically what happens here is we have the gold delivered. This is it in its raw form. This is just how it comes to me. And this then gets melted down into wire, which is formed by alloying the gold, and this would get drawn into wire. So for something like this piece, this would be made from 3 bands of wire, and then these are connected here, and this is actually the beginnings of this amethyst ring.
So Fifi Bijou does something slightly different to other companies.
Yes, exactly. My supply chain is all sourced from small-scale mining projects, and the ethics behind that are that these projects are set up with fair trade protocols in place and an environmental policy in place. So essentially the whole supply chain, the gold and the diamonds and gemstones that I use for my designs, all come from these socially and environmentally responsible mines.
And how long does it take you from the sort of point of initial sort of concept or idea to the actual finished product?
Normally it takes around 8 to 12 weeks when I'm working with a client, because we have to have some meetings within there, and then we have to wait and sort of develop that process along so it fits in with their time scale.
Sure.
But that's the kind of usual time. And then it would come here to the workshop, and I would talk through the design with the workshop manager, and they would then begin constructing the ring to the technical drawing.
In terms of putting the actual finished product together, your design is signed off, and then I assume there's, you know, kind of artisans, maybe you call them, that work here.
Yes, the workshop here, we have a few master goldsmiths who are responsible for actually constructing the ring and for working the whole process. Sometimes pieces are cast, some pieces are made by hand. It really depends on the nature of the design as to what is most appropriate. But yes, there's some very highly skilled goldsmiths involved at that stage. And that's a really quite involved process to get to the technical capability. And then you have setters and you have mounters and polishers who deal with, you know, sort of the specialist diamond settings and special sort of unusual settings as well. So there's really quite an involved process at that stage.
Do you think that a lot of people are starting to come to you now because you have this ethical background, and maybe they feel more comfortable about wearing a ring and they know where it's come from?
Absolutely, that's something that's really important to a lot of couples at the moment. It's something that people appreciate, having that link back to where it's actually come from, and it's a way of making a real difference to these projects, to these miners' lives and their livelihood. So it's not just about you know, the end result being something that's completely, hopefully completely beautiful, that people will love and wear forever and treasure. It's also that you realise that you've actually made a quite important contribution to someone else's life and their livelihood as well, and that's making an impact on these mining communities, as opposed to a negative impact, which unfortunately a lot of gold mining and gem mining can actually end up as.
And what have we got here?
Well, here we have a couple of little rough diamonds, and these again are just the little diamonds that come straight from the mine, and at the moment these are for 2 different people's engagement rings, so they're having those set in gold.
Fantastic. Well, I'll tell you, this has been an amazing insight for me. I know where I'm going to go if I need to get a ring. Thank you so much, Vivienne, for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much.